we're in this cyber arms race situation where the enemy is getting better and better. When you're in a warfare situation and you're still using cavalry and horses, and your enemy is using tanks, you can't fight them using horses.
Welcome to Cult Products, a podcast by EIR Digital. I'm your host, Phil Keaney-Bolland, and on this show, we sit down with the founders and leaders shaping the next wave of cybersecurity innovation. You'll hear the stories behind how they found their first customers, defined what made them different, and built products that earned a loyal following in one of the toughest markets on earth. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cult Products podcast. Today, I am joined by Mike Walters of Action1. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Phil. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Really looking forward to our chat today. Before we get into the discussion, might be good to just tell everybody a little bit about Action1 and what it is that you do there, please.
We are on cloud-native endpoint management company. So what we do is you run, no matter how big your company is, whether it's a small IT shop with 10 people with 10 laptops working spread out around the world, or a large corporation with 1 million people working in hundreds of offices. What we do is we automate everything that happens on your endpoints, whether it's laptops, workstations, and specifically we tackle the biggest challenge we tackle is patch management, deploying patches at scale when critical vulnerabilities arise. And we fully automate the process. And what we help with is we reduce the time, and in many cases completely remove the time, give it back to you, which you would otherwise spend on doing this routine activity. And everybody has to do it, because if you don't patch your computers, sooner or later you become a victim of a security breach or a ransomware attack.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. Tell me a bit about, where did it all start for you? How did you get into cybersecurity?
Almost 25 years ago, I would say this is my very first job. I was still at my freshman's year of my college that surprisingly I was able to get a full-time job. So I was mostly focused on doing the job, not so much on studying, and it gave me a lot of real world experience. And I worked for this company. It was a small company which was later acquired by a larger company called Quest Software. And that small company, the whole story just looked incredible to me. I was one of their first employees, and then after a few years, the company grew so large that it was acquired by Quest for over $100 million. And I was just blown away. Like, how is that even possible? And after spending, I think, spent a little bit over 9 years at overall at Quest and that company combined, I just decided, hey, maybe I should do something on my own. And my partner, Alex, who joined me in this endeavor, we just imagined, okay, well, why don't we try? We're not going to build anything as big as that. We thought it was just impossible. Let's just do what Quest did, which staying focused on the same type of buyer, which is an IT professional, and cater to the needs of solving specific pains, right? There's always specific pains you can pick. And if you address them really well, people are willing to pay just to solve this. And that's what we did when we created our first startup called Netrix, which initially we had no particular idea. We just said, all right, let's just create a bunch of admin tools and see what clicks. Pick a pain, solve it really well, and then take it from there.
Interesting that you didn't start off with a specific product in mind, it was I guess pretty exploratory at that stage, and in a sense, I guess you were kind of prototyping several different businesses at once and picking the one that performed best. Is that right?
The approach: move fast, break things, iterate as quickly as possible before you end up focusing on one specific product. But what you have to do really as quickly as possible is to pick that right product, because you can't continue working on many different products at the same time, because you lose the focus. So what we did is, we had 20 different products, and then over probably like the first 3 to 4 years, we established, all right, this is the product that sells better than any others. Some others sold too, some didn't sell at all. So those were probably the first to get killed. Eventually, it was like 3 products, and it's like, all right, the third lowest selling, kill it. The second lowest selling was the most difficult to kill, because it was already doing a few $1 million a year, but the number one was doing tens of millions of dollars a year. So the choice was obvious, but it was still very difficult to eat your own baby. But once we did this, was the best decision we made, because we put all those people working on that less performing product were put on working on this top seller, and that just took off and became really, really successful. That was the story. It was a mistake. I wouldn't advise anyone to do this many, but so both Alex and I are software developers by trade, so we just loved coding. So most of those products were done overnight. So it's pretty much 20 nights spent. At some point, we just said, all right, no, you can't do this many. It's fun, it's cool, but you have to focus. And then eventually just decided to sell it we sold it to a private equity firm, and took a very quick break and embarked on our new adventure, which is this new company, Action1. I think the biggest one was the lack of focus. We didn't create 20 products this time, but we spent too much time going too broad on the platform capabilities than we should have. Because at some point, we just realized, okay, there's probably 5 use cases in endpoint management that are the top, like the 80%, the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of customers want only 20% of the functionality. So that 20% of the functionality is only probably 5 features. Even within that 20%, again, there's 80%. So what we realized that patching was that 80% of the 80%, which we actually needed to focus initially. And if we knew that in advance, and we kind of knew that, because the gut feel was, yes, this is what so many people are asking about. But what was counterintuitive to us is it's a very old category. It's a very old, unsexy category that's been in existence for decades and decades and decades. All right, well, should we be reinventing the wheel again for 100th time? We had that feeling, but what we realized is, no, the wheel does need reinvention, because it's still a major problem.
So you second time around, first time around, I guess, as you sort of alluded to, there's probably a lot of things that you would think, we'll do this differently. When you were sat in that break between the 2 businesses and you were planning out what your next move was going to be, what would you say the top things that you wanted to do differently this time around were? The first company, we didn't have any experience other than software development. So we knew how to code, but we had no idea about this, how to create a sales organization, how to market products, how to run operations, all of those aspects of a business. Still, the product is the most important. If you have a great product and you know the go-to-market strategy for it, you know how to market it, then the rest comes naturally. It's just a matter of execution. So you just need to hire the right number of salespeople. You need to allocate enough budget, marketing campaigns, and scale your operations. And so this time, with this new company, we just figured, right, so we knew that
the basics. We need to bring the right people early on, and that's what we did. Really, with VP of sales early on to start building the sales organization and scale it proportionately. So we knew that, well, we can't have 50 salespeople from day one because the products is just not there. Even if we had that many opportunities, we would not be able to close them. The product doesn't have all the features needed for a typical enterprise client, which we were going after. So it's just a matter of knowing in advance what to expect and execute and scale appropriately.
So you're coming back into today's climate. Of course, everything is now massively dominated by the conversations around AI. How does it feel as a business founder now in this climate versus first time around?
I think it's a very interesting time to live in. It may probably never happened before. The pace of innovation, what's going on with all the amazing things that people are building using AI agents. There's AI VPs of marketing, AI VPs of engineering, like AI software engineers, AI accountants, like AI everything, and there's AI native companies that they're run by two founders and 100 AI agents and no other humans. Like, so those stories just sound surreal to me. And time will tell like how successful some of them. There's a lot of hype going on around it, but I think what matters. And there's also these talks about SaaS apocalypse, like all the existing software companies are going to die. They will get replaced by people are just going to vibe code everything. Like everything you need, you can just vibe code, just open Lovable or Base 44 and just create it overnight. No matter how complex it is, you can replace Salesforce, you can replace Marketo, you can replace whatever you use currently and pay millions of dollars for it, and like, you don't need it anymore. But at the same time, the different as people, and some people do that. Like I was a couple months ago, I was flying out to Mexico for our corporate vacation and sat next to a guy on the plane who showed me, opened his laptop and said, "Oh, so I created this new CRM. But I'm not a developer. I just vibe coded it. I just used vibe coding tools and created the CRM." I go, "Oh, show me that." It probably doesn't look good. It looked better than Salesforce. It worked. It just was smoother than Salesforce. It was just amazing. Like, so how many prompts did you issue to create it? It's like, yeah, maybe like 150. It's like, really? And you're not a software developer, and it looks better than Salesforce. Like, it's like, wow, yeah, Salesforce should really be concerned about this type of things happening. But at the same time, if you like for a small business, yes, maybe. If you're trying to build something fully custom on the cheap, well, the thing is not necessarily on the cheap, because you have to pay for your AI tokens to build it. Then you have to pay for your infrastructure. I'm not sure about the cost. The cost may be the same. Some people might do this, but at the same time, some people like, do you really want to build your own car out of a car kit? Yes, some car enthusiasts do that, but most people just go to a car dealership to buy a car, as long as it's affordable and does the thing.
I think everybody has their own take on this, and a lot of it is down to your kind of philosophy or your belief of how people are going to adapt to this world. Somebody who clearly understands their problem space really, really well is now able to build the exact tool that they need without needing to, raise money for it, and do this kind of working in cybersecurity, having the kind of conversations that we have. We know there are lots of things that you have to think about constantly in order to avoid risk. Things that the owners of the SaaS platforms have been thinking about themselves constantly and implementing within products, so that for lots of people, small businesses in particular, they haven't really had to think about these things before.
Because it's non-deterministic, right? It's like it's right. A lot of times it gets it right, but what happens when it gets it wrong.
And it looks so good and feels so good to do it, but really you don't have a good way necessarily of knowing if the foundations that it's built on are strong. And this could be, companies with thousands of people, and potentially, if their security is super tight, thousands of people all building new ways to expose the business to risk. So that stuff is really scary. I imagine, those are the kind of conversations you'll be having with customers day to day. This is the biggest issue, I guess, that we're facing right now in cybersecurity.
There's a lot of marketing hype going around Anthropic's Mythos LLM, and the way it was announced as privately available to only a select number of cybersecurity companies. But at the same time, there's this mixed reports so far about that. So I think many people say it's just a gradual improvement. It's like a 20% improvement over the previous model. The rest is just great marketing. Because Dario is a marketing visionary. He's a great founder. That people say that he's the second greatest founder in human history after Elon. That's what people really say about Dario. And I would second this opinion probably. Took it from obscurity being second to really being tied as first with OpenAI, and OpenAI now catching up to that, right? So they released GPT 5.4 Cyber to as a counter response. It's not exactly the same, but it's they're trying to basically catch up and counter the competitive threat. But I think what matters in general is, yes, the weapons your adversaries can use are getting more and more advanced. We're in this cyber arms race situation where your enemy is getting better and better. When you're in a war, in a warfare situation, and you're still using cavalry and horses, your people are horse mounted warriors, and your enemy is using tanks. Like you can't fight them using horses. You have to start using tanks as well. Any systems that manage, especially platforms like Action1, because what puts us in a very bad situation potentially, because we run our endpoint agents, not confused with AI agents, because the term agents is now being really used towards AI, but pre-AI definition of an agent is something that runs directly on your computer. So a little piece of software that reports to to the main system. So for example, it takes commands for patch this, reporting. This is what Action1 is built on, so that when it patches, it just issues commands to patch all of your million endpoints or whatever the number you have. And the biggest threat is, what if somebody hacks Action1 Cloud and takes over and converts the entire Action1 infrastructure into a command and control center? This is like the worst nightmare. And many vendors are susceptible to this. Like any vendor that runs code on the customer systems, it's prone to this kind of attack. When attackers are armed with tools like Mythos, it gets really dangerous, because they can dig into how your system operates, find all those ins and outs, and take advantage of that. And if you're not prepared for this type of onslaught of automated AI powered hacking, that can lead to a very dangerous outcome.
Do you have a sense? I know there's a lot of hype and marketing around Mythos, but do you have a sense of how prepared are we really for this next jump?
I think very unprepared. Most vendors are completely unprepared these days. In the last few months, what I think, if the vendor you're using for anything is still releasing functions and features, like user-facing features, and instead of working on improving their security posture, it's a disaster in the making. Everybody should stop working on any functional improvements, and instead of that, take a really close look at the security architecture, how the system is designed, how to implement some basic measures like isolate components, put some web application firewalls between your components, review your access levels, like what employees internally have access to this. How can you make your customer data more protected and prevent the domino effect? Like if one system gets attacked and taken advantage of, how do you prevent the lateral spread of the attack? And vibe coding is not help that, by the way. So that the more stuff you vibe code, the further you are from that goal of actually thinking about securing your systems.
Keeping up with this stuff is challenging for everyone, I think, because it's just evolving so quickly, and there's so much new stuff to learn, and new threats, new things to worry about, new opportunities, new users coming in and using it all the time, new tools. What is the secret to actually staying safe in a world that's changing this quickly?
Some things have to change radically, the way systems are architected. So what we're like, in particular, what Action1, what we're working here at Action1 is this new architecture called endpoint takeover prevention, or ETP for short. So what it does is so there's three components to it. So your endpoint, so like say your computer, so you're working on a laptop, an Action1 agent runs on that. Then there's Action1 Cloud that it reports to, sends and receives commands from. And there's the administrator, the system administrator. Some, like say your IT guy who says, okay, patch Phil's computer tonight. What if Action1 Clouds gets taken over overnight? Nation state threat actor uses Mythos, gets access to Mythos and just hacks Action1. What happens to your computer? In a traditional architecture, pretty much is done. It's a domino effect. Every single customer and every single endpoint at each of those customers is pretty much done. So they deploy ransomware, they do whatever they want with that. They have full control over everything. What we're doing with this endpoint takeover prevention architecture is we tell the customer to own the signing encryption key, right? So they when they issue commands, when they create policies or automations to patch computers or do anything else, any other management activities, they sign it with their key, which they own, which never gets transferred to Action1 Cloud. So even if threat actors take advantage of Action1, they will not see it. Even Action1 employees cannot do it, cannot see it. And when your computer, when the agent running on your computer receives that command that checks, okay, has John signed off on this? John, the IT guy? If John's signature is forged, the agent running on your endpoint will just refuse that command and say, no, sorry, but I can't do this because you're not. This is a very radical shift in the security architecture we're doing, because now we assume that sooner or later, our system will get hacked too, because there's going to be something huge that'll come out publicly, maybe tomorrow, to hack it into it and completely obliterate it. So we need to. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when it happens. We have an obligation to protect our customers' environment. We can't let that happen. And what I know is most vendors don't have anything. Like there's a few vendors that I know in the industry that are working on a similar or have something similar to this, but it's a tiny percentage of what it should be.
I mean, that in itself is a scary thought, but seems like a very sensible position to take. On the flip side, you think about Mythos, you think about all the innovation that's coming. One of the things that I'm encouraging a lot of the people that I speak to think about is you need to have a strategy in place for how you differentiate from your competitors. You also need to have a strategy in place for how you differentiate from the large AI models, because there will be people, and maybe not today, but not too far in the future, who will say, "Oh, why do I need to buy this? Can I just build it? Can I just tell the AI to spin up, just take the transcript of this podcast, chop out that section, put it into Claude Code, and say just build that." We could be
In the future, it might be possible.
Yeah. What's your yeah? Well, maybe. What's your take on cybersecurity as an industry and the future? And we're not just talking about this SaaS apocalypse, but are we all still going to be around in the next couple of years? Are people really going to start doing that? How do you see things unfolding from here?
Well, what a lot of people say is the value of code is going close to zero these days. So what used to be called IP, intellectual property, what your developers create years and years, those millions of lines of code that are super difficult to replicate. So this is a shrinking. So the time to recreate that is shrinking. Yeah, you can really just upload a product demo video to Claude and have it, make something similar, do the same, but better and faster. And then here's some additional thoughts that I have. But what matters is how great your distribution is. So your distribution model, your data gravity, what they call, is your system really a place where your customers come back to and operate off? Other things like switching costs, like if your system is so good that it's practically impossible, even if a better competitor comes out and they offer a better product, better looking, sexier UI, anything, working faster, but if it's expensive to switch because you have to migrate the data, then your customers are not going to switch. New customers, yeah, they might start looking at that as a better alternative, but at least you have the time to catch up and recreate it. So maybe you have a year or two to say, all right, great. So they came up with this better model than ours. Let's just do it, and then switch our customers over, because we have the advantage of having this huge customer base that we can just quickly turn around if you're able to turn around. So it's not always possible. So these three things will matter a lot.
I think we're in a really interesting space because if I think about security is not an area where you can be it's close to good enough. Maybe a CRM as an example is it's not quite Salesforce, but it does 90% of Salesforce, and it's a bit janky here. You can't say, this security thing keeps me 90% protected, but there's a 10% which could catastrophically explode my entire business. And I think one of the interesting things is sometimes you do need experts. I think in a lot of cases, it'll come down to, a more kind of emotive form of decision making. Logically, maybe you can build your own thing for your own specific business, and it might be really great, but it might also be better and mean that you can sleep easier at night to outsource that.
It's not cheap, because AI credits, AI tokens cost a lot of money. As you start ramping up your agentic coding, you quickly realize that it gets expensive too fast. And then you also need qualified people to be able to set this up, manage those agents, and then you have to maintain. You have the maintenance issue, just like any. It's the same. I think it's the same approach. You can always create your custom software, develop it in house, or you can go to a software vendor and buy it from the vendors, and then have them worry about it. This ongoing maintenance. outages, resource allocation, oh, your database ran out of space, like you need to upgrade that, like things like that. If you have a team of people and the desire to handle that, yeah, of course you can do it. And some larger enterprises may choose this approach. Like if you're at JP Morgan, yeah, you probably have 10,000 people working in your DevOps department, and you're able to develop pretty much anything. Whether it's patch management or a CRM or an accounting system. And probably that's what they do. Mid-sized businesses, I don't think they would do that. Most of them would prefer just going for something off the shelf, but the definition of the shelf is going to change. It's going to become a lot more custom. So they say now they talk about headless systems. So it's like system that does not have a UI, only has an agentic AI capable API, like an MCP server, something similar. And when the first time you log into that system, you just tell it like, what are you trying to accomplish? What is my business goal? Oh, like I want to patch every Saturday, and I want to get a report for my boss showing how many systems get patched. If that's all you need, great. So 30 seconds later, it creates something that uses Action1 API to just deliver it to you. And you never actually open Action1 ever again, because it just works. It just sends your boss that report and patches the systems. And you can do the same with your CRM.
It's interesting to redefine it that way. How are we going to make sure that we even still have experts in the future? Because right now we're in a space where, and possibly most concerning, it's becoming increasingly difficult for new people, younger people mainly, to get into lots of industries and work their way up and become expert in any given field, really. How do you think we can maybe address some of that? How do we make sure that there is still plenty of opportunity out there for people to learn how to do things the right way?
My nephew, he just turned 15. He does his math homework using ChatGPT, and ask, like, do you even understand what's going on? Like, it's like, yeah, I just ask ChatGPT. It's always right. It's like, that's not always right. It's like, how are you going to know like what's actually going on? Like, what are the algorithms that like what formulas that you need to use? So yeah, there's a problem. So people, especially younger people, they start trusting it too much and not knowing the basics, the underlying basics. Well, at the same time, every innovation cycles comes with that. So the invention of the printing press, or the whole story behind the Luddite movement, like lots of people are going to lose jobs. We have to keep going forward. It's progress. It's evolution, and there's going to be bigger, wider concepts, more and more high level. It used to be lamps and transistors. Now it's chips packed with billions of transistors. Like nobody even knows like how to do this stuff. It's just a domain knowledge of a very narrow group of people compared to the overall human population. And I think something huge is happening these days as well. So a lot of the low level knowledge, it might seem like it will get lost, but at the same time, a lot of higher level, more developed knowledge will accumulate. And this is what we need to be teaching this newer generation, is try to grasp it and try to be a part of that. So instead of doing some of the work manually, learn how to manage agents. As they say, it's like that's the job of the future. Like, stop using your hands. Like, your hands are your AI agents. And no coding, no accounting, no support calls, no PDRs. Like everything has to be done by your agents, and your job is to create what they call agent harnesses. Like how to control your agents so that they don't use $1 million worth of credits overnight and do something that's actually useful and productive. I think it's gonna be a major shift. Nobody really knows what's gonna happen because it's changing so fast these days. It's the fastest pace of innovation we've ever seen in human history.
Well, maybe a good note to sort of end on is to look backwards. I like to ask all our guests the same question, really. I'd like you to think back to when you started Action1. I'd like you to think, if you could go back and you could give yourself any piece of advice, something that you've learned over the years since founding the business, what would your one piece of advice to your younger self be?
Focus. Again, going back to basics, it's like this word focus. If I had a time machine that could only pass like one word letters to my past self, this would be the word I would pass to myself. Find something you're really good at and laser focus on that. It applies to pretty much everything in business and in life. Because if you don't focus, you spread yourself too thin, and you never succeed because you can't be successful. Like there's no Olympic gold, like probably not in history. Like you cannot have 5 Olympic gold medals in 5 different sports. You only get one, right? Because you specialize in that. You spend your whole life, you become the best of the best in skiing or in swimming, but not in both, never in both. Like it's impossible because the only way to become highly successful is to be highly specialized. That's the power, what the power of focus gives you.
That's great advice, Mike. Thank you. I've really enjoyed having you on the show. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much
thank you,
for
Phil.
joining today. Where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Go to action1.com. One is the number one, action1.com, and just learn about Action1. It's the beauty of Action1 is you can sign up for it for free and use it for your first 200 endpoints without paying anything. No strings attached, fully functional product. If you go over, there's a paid subscription, but only for and the endpoints on top of the first 200. But it's a great product. It's an enterprise grade product that we give away at zero cost to all the small businesses, and take advantage of that. It's great.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure we will get some interested people taking advantage of that. Thanks again, Mike. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Cult Products is brought to you by Yaya, helping cybersecurity companies define who they're for, what they do, and how they're different. To learn more, visit yaya.co. And don't forget to search for Cult Products in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team at Yaya, thanks for listening.